So one of the cool things, guys, you should be very proud of your company. Aflac is, again, the world's most admired insurance company. So Aflac has once again been named Fortune's Magazine's a world most admired insurance company in 2019. That marks the 18th consecutive year that we've made it on the list, clearly demonstrating that Aflac isn't a company that takes customer service and shareholder values for granted. Holding a position in this prestigious list reflects how leaders of a variety of industries have placed Aflac among the top 50% of all companies that meet the stringent requirements just to be included in the study. That means the experts view Aflac among the best of the best in accomplishment for those for which we are immensely proud. Aflac Chairman Dan Amos, CEO, the fact that we have appeared on this list an amazing 18 times reflects a consistency that our company policyholders, shareholders, and the general public, both in the United States and Japan, appreciate, knowing that they can trust Aflac to be there for them as they're promised. You know, there's a lot of there's in any company that you work in, you know, there's little frustrations you come across, i.e. technology, forms, you know, process and things like that. But, you know, guys, we're not alone. There's frustrations in every single company that's out there, especially a company that continues to innovate and grow. So as we innovate and as we challenge the status quo and we operate and we continue to move into the new generation of insurance and how it is sold, guys, I ask you to number one, remember who you work with. You don't work with the second best company in America. You work for the number one company in America and the number one company on the planet in what we do. So fight through those frustrations with a positive attitude. Focus in on the result. Focus in on how you help your customers. Don't get caught up in the minutia, right? I mean, you know, it's very important that you maintain a positive attitude, because any company you go with, you're going to have frustrations. But there's not any company that you can go with that's the number one company on the planet in what we do. That's Aflac. That's who we stand for. So guys, whether you're just starting out and you're learning this business and you're getting really good at it, and you go through and you're learning technology, sometimes we get frustrated with ourselves. Make sure you always maintain a positive attitude, because what you are is what you represent and what you become. And so I just wanted to touch bases on that this morning before we get started in the training. That's very important, man. I've been with Aflac 10 years, and I don't have a complaint against the company in 10 years, you know. And so have I ever been frustrated? Yeah. But you know what? Why not be frustrated with the best company on the planet in what you do, right? So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now make sure, guys, as we're going through this, I want to highlight, you know, using the employer discovery. If you really want to sit down and look professional, ask the right questions, making sure that you're getting the full aspect of what's going on. Number one, I love the tip, I think it was Linda, that said ask for a benefits overview. And so what they, by law, in healthcare reform law, the ACA says that there has to be a summary, a benefit summary that is on a one-page document that the employees can read, the employees can see and understand. And so I would ask for that benefit summary so you can look over that, because what we're about to talk about today is going to dramatically impact how you move forward with that business, how you structure your plan design. It's very important that you get a good good information. Plus, there's some things in the Aflac Choice Plan that you need approval for the higher levels of the Aflac Choice. And so what we want to hone in today on the discovery is when you find these pain points. So do you offer major medical? The employer says yes. What's the deductible look like? Well, it's $3,500, okay. What's the coinsurance look like? Is it 70-30 or 80-20? And so the reason why I say 70-30 or 80-20, it prompts the memory. So that's why I asked that question. So is it 70-30 or 80-20? And then they might even say 60-40. You might say, wow, you know. But if it's, 70-30 or 80-20, we definitely can help with this policy. How much is it employer paid of the total premium percentage wise? And how much is it? And they might say, well, it's $1,000 on average per employee. We pay 50% of that. Okay. And then how much do you cover for family? And then, so in the family portion, obviously most of the time they don't cover any family portion these days, just due to the cost. Very rarely they do, but if they do, you want to definitely make note of that. This is where it gets very important. It's all very important, but this is where you start honing in. Do you offer an FSA? Okay, so the hospital choice plan is FSA compatible. Currently, I have not found too many Aflac policies that conflict with an FSA, that's flexible spending account. But in this one, does your plan include an HSA? If you have the summary, you can look for that HSA. What I would also ask is how many people participate percentage-wise in the HSA. Okay, I'd write that down because that's not on the questionnaire. Maybe it should be. How many people participate in the HSA? How many people does it save you money? Here's another question that's not on the form I would write down. Does it save your company money from a cost perspective when people move to an HSA? Okay. And so then in this angle, if you find that, so if it does save you money and only 20% of the people do the HSA, why do you think that is? And then they'll say, well, I don't think they fully understand how an HSA works. I don't think that nobody's really discussed that with them. That's a pocket. That's an opening for you, because then you could say, what we could do is we could really highlight the HSA and encourage people to participate in the HSA program. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Why do you offer major medical? I still ask that question every single time. What's the purpose? What's the reason? You're trying to understand them so that you could put yourself in the business owner's shoes, and then that way you can, instead of being a salesperson, which we sell product, yeah, but that's not the purpose. What we're trying to accomplish is to pivot from being on the other side of the table with the business owner or the decision maker, and pivot to be on the same side of the table as the business owner. So how do you do that? You put yourself in their shoes. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do with this? And then how can we implement a strategy together, a working strategy together to really get what you want out? So that pocket is, we could highlight the reasons and the pluses of having an HSA, so we can start to tier people towards that HSA, so we can not only save you money from a tax saving perspective, we can not only save you money from an employee retention perspective, but we can also save you directly to your bottom line money on what you're paying on your health insurance premiums as a part of a shared cost with that employee. And yes, we are taping this morning. So I'd recommend that you replay that and you practice it. Get comfortable with those words, because when you do that, when you arc the conversation that way, you're actually going to start looking more intelligent than their insurance broker. That's not the purpose, but you will, okay? And then they start to see you as a real partner in their business. So if they don't offer health insurance, why don't you offer major medical insurance? Where do they go for coverage? I'd like to understand that. So that way you can say, well, they go online, they go to healthcare.gov, or they go to their local broker, or they get it through their spouse. Okay, does their spouse have deductibles, co-pays, and out-of-pocket expenses? So then what you're trying to do is kind of position the employer into the employee's shoes to see how they feel, okay? Now, if they say, they just get their benefits through their spouse, and I really don't care, health insurance is too expensive, then I pivot, and where I pivot to is I say, okay, so if they get their benefits repeat what they say, it's active listening. So what I do is I say, listen, if your employee is going to get health insurance elsewhere through their spouse or through their local insurance person, then what's the benefit to working here? What's the benefit you give them? Well, I give them a paycheck. Well, listen, a very basic benefit you could offer your employees is protection on that paycheck. So if your employee got sick or hurt and can't work, it usually takes two, notice my hands, it takes 2 incomes to support a household. So if it takes 2 incomes and then the guy that works for you or the lady that works for you, their income drops out, is that going to hurt the family? And then could that hurt you as a result with them not being able to get back to work on a quick, on a rapid manner? And then they go, you know what, I see your point, but I'm really not sure. Hey, could I just show you a quick video? And then I go to Aflac, YouTube, Aflac channel. And two YouTube channels I recommend that you be a a follower is my Aflac channel, my YouTube channel, because I'm going to upload these videos. That way you can see when I upload a video, then you can download it or watch it. But also the Aflac.com, Aflac channel. So you just type in Aflac channel, and let's see if my words are supported by what I'm saying. Okay, so is this, can I back it up?
People know Aflac.
Aflac wanted to know how important benefits are to employee well-being. We decided to take it to the streets and find out. Would you ever take a job that had better benefits for slightly less pay?
Probably can't hear it.
I think I would. In the past, I definitely did that. There's a lot of companies out there that don't do what they used to do.
In the next couple of years, I'll be looking to have kids, so benefits are really important.
Okay.
If benefits outweigh the salary, it would be worth it.
Would you take a job that had slightly less pay but better benefits? Yes. Actually, where I'm at right now, you got a couple of different gigs, but no benefits currently.
Yes.
How does that affect you personally?
Money, money, money.
Nobody wants to approach someone who's tense. You got to look relaxed. What is your top concern as a manager?
Really, it's well-being of my employees and morale. In my job, we are always going.
You want to make sure that you make your employees happy too, because if you make them happy, they take care of your business. They take care of you.
If somebody's sick, I got to make sure they're taken care of. They got to be back into work soon. So it's vitally important that they're in good health or can get the care they need pretty darn quickly.
Besides increasing.
So guys, you get the point on that. So that's kind of where I'd pause it. Because the reason I would pause it right there is because it kind of positions, hey, listen, if your employee was sick or hurt and they couldn't work, do you think it would take them longer if they also had the stressor of not having the income that they're used to getting here because they're sick or hurt and they can't work? What if we could do, because you mentioned that health insurance is very expensive, what if we could do a low cost or no cost option where you could have a benefit in here your employees can elect so they could get the coverage, protect their paycheck, and then in turn when they get sick or hurt and they can't work, they don't have the stressor of the bills, and then all of a sudden when they come back to work, they'll probably come back a little bit sooner. Why? Because they're not stressed out and freaking out because they can't pay their bills. So what day next week works best to see your employees? Does earlier in the week or later in the week work better for you? Does earlier in the morning? So if they pick earlier in the week or later in the week, then I go, okay, how about Tuesday? Tuesday looks okay. Does earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon work better for you? I give them choices, and then what happens is the natural mind says, I got to pick one, right? Instead of yes or no. And notice I just go right, when I strike the need, sometimes I'll just go right into asking for the dates of enrollment. So what I need to do is I need to get 2 dates, okay, so Tuesday works good for you, great. In the morning, you want to get that done? How does 8 o'clock sound? 8 o'clock sounds great. Or no, you know what? I think we need to do it at 7 because I can get my employees in early. Can you make sure they're all here? It's very important. Pay very close attention to this. Watch this. It's very important that your employees all hear about the benefit at one time, and then that way, all the benefit communications are fair and consistent. We wouldn't want Jimmy that doesn't come into meetings not to hear about it and then find out there was a benefit offered that he could have used, but now he's sick and hurt and can't work. So if you could just make sure everybody's here, I'll do a 15-minute presentation, go over the benefits, And then what I'll do is I'll come back the next day at the exact same time, Wednesday at 7 a.m., and I'll just start collecting signatures. That won't take any presentation time, because what happens is when we do it day one and we come in the following day right after that, what happens is that because it's so fresh in their mind that they start just making choices. It just gives them that overnight to talk to their family members, okay? So that's see, and that's part of my close. Part of my close is the process, because the process, when you explain it that way, when you're closing it, what happens is that they see how it works. And if they see how it works, it's not a mystery. They know what's going on, and that gives business owners and HR directors comfort that you're not just going to come in and push product, okay? You're going to come in and explain the benefits fair and consistently. So let's get right into the hospital choice plan. I always want to start or end with Edge, and then how to close the account. So going into, make sure you're using your Edge Discovery, okay, that laminated sheet. If you don't have one, make sure to talk to your DSC, and then we can get you one, okay? So the first thing is, this is a flyer that you can use to elevate or back up what you're saying. And always, I was talking with Carrie yesterday, and she said, one of the things I learned, Eric, that was important to me was that I learned that I can't leave without a date. And so if you don't close it on that day, then you need to set a date. It should pain you to leave without a date. So even if it's a follow-up date, hey, listen, I know you want to go over this information. I know you're rolling around in your head. Can I stop in next week? Are you back in here next Tuesday? Can I come by and see you and just follow up with you? Great. What's a good time, 9 a.m. or 2 p.m.? Always give them a choice. 9 a.m. works. Okay, I'll be here at 9 a.m. Answer any questions you might have. I look forward to working with you. Okay, I always leave with a date. Don't leave anything hanging. Okay, so even though their health changes, your business doesn't have to. Even a quick trip to the emergency room can result in an employee being faced with costly medical bills that health insurance may not cover. Many employees are forced to choose between paying those medical bills and paying their everyday needs, like commuting, childcare expenses. This can affect their ability to focus on their work. Aflac Choice offers customizable benefits that they can choose based on their individual needs to help with those unexpected medical events not covered by traditional health insurance. Our knowledgeable agents can help each employee build their optimal combination of personalized hospital benefits that's right for them. Don't let the stress of an unexpected medical expense affect your employee's productivity. Offer Aflac Choice today. Notice how that all kind of jives in with what we're talking about. So let's go down. Now, obviously, this is just so you know, maybe not obviously, but it's 1 day pay eligible. So Aflac Choice benefits, this is the flyer, not the brochure. So hospital confinement benefits is $500, $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000. Now, we can get with an exception, or we have to fill out, I think it's like an exception basically, but what happens is we can get up to $5,000 on that hospital confinement benefit, but I'll show you that a little later. So hospital short stay pays $100 for hospital days less than 23 hours, limited to 2 payments per calendar year per policy. Different from the accident plan that you can have 1 accident per day. So it's 2 payments per calendar year per policy. That would mean the entire family if they have family coverage. Now, what would happen if you have the accident plan and you have this and you go to the emergency room, into the hospital emergency room with an injury? Both would pay. Okay, that's very important to know. So hospital emergency room, $100 for treatment, limited to 2 payments per calendar year. So you got the short stay benefit for stays less than 23 hours. You also, on top of that, you're in the emergency room to get into the observation or short stay. That's $100, up to 2 payments per calendar year. This is where it's different, per covered person. So if they have family coverage and they end up just going to the emergency room, that's per covered person. they get 2 for that. Rehab facility, waiver of premium is applicable here, and continuation of coverage. Now, physician visits, this, you know, when we were really pumping out this old plan called the personal sickness plan, this, I could not believe how many people, and the old hospital plan, how many people love this benefit. This actually got us a DM I was in. I said, when I was in the DM, I asked her, I said, so this is another great question to ask when you're going over that summary plan documents, is to ask this question. So what's your biggest complaint about your health insurance as it sits today? Well, Eric, I'd really love to go back to $25 copays. I said, what's the copays now? She said, the copays now are $50. So if I could get the copays back down to $25, I'd make you real happy, huh? She goes, you darn right. I wrote that down. I didn't tell her we can do that yet. I wrote it down because that's her splinter, right? You know those splinters that get in your finger and you got to just dig those suckers out because they hurt every time you touch something? That's what that is to her, okay? So physician benefits, so limited to 3 per calendar year. But notice this, insured and spouse or family coverage. So if you're insuring more than one insured and spouse or family coverage, you get 6 visits per calendar year. Think about maternity. I would probably get at least insured and spouse, if not family coverage, because the thing is leading up to maternity, she's going to have to go for prenatal visits. She's going to have to go through ultrasounds, well baby checks, well mama checks, all those things. So it's best if she has those 6, because then as she frequents the doctor, she can get 6 copay. Well, I like to call it this copay reimbursement, but you got to be, you know, you can't always say it like you want to. So you got to say physician visit benefit. That's actually what the benefit is. Laboratory test, $35, limited to 2 payments per covered person per calendar year. Medical diagnostic and imaging benefit, $150 per covered exam, limited to 2 exams per covered person per calendar year. Benefits payable for a variety of medical diagnostic and imaging benefits, including sleep studies now. That's new, sleep studies. So if you have a company that does sleep studies that you're marketing to, you might want to just show them that, because a lot of insurance companies don't help out with that, especially voluntary benefit companies. So that's new for us. Ambulance benefit is in there. Initial assistance benefit. So this is hospital stay and surgical care rider. This would be an addition to. You have to check that off. So initial assistance benefit pays $100 once per calendar year per rider when a covered person requires a hospital admittance. Surgery benefit, Aflac pays $50 to $1,000 on that, depending on the severity of the surgery. Hospital intensive care unit confinement benefit. Guys, dude, please, this is where the value really triggers, because when Tammy was in the hospital in intensive care, if we had this benefit, plus the CCR plan was paying out at $700 a day, then $1,200 a day, this thing would be paying an additional $500 per day every day she was in there. That would have just, I mean, goodness gracious. Hospital confinement benefit of $100 per day per covered person for up to 365 days per accident, okay? Remember, 30 days is 3,000. So what's 365? You know, that's a lot of dough. Second surgical opinion benefit, plus you can add the Aflac Plus rider, okay? Very important. So going over option H. Option H, when you see option H on a brochure, that is for the HSA, okay? Now, these are for the people that have HSA benefits, so you don't want to sell the standard Aflac Choice Plan to somebody that has an HSA. It's called non-compatible. You have to use this product, okay? So I'll show it to you. So this is how this product works. So I'm going to lower the thing here so we get full screen. So number one, the policyholder feels a sharp pain in his right side, decides to go to go visit the hospital emergency room. doctor diagnoses appendicitis, okay? And then patient undergoes surgery, Aflac choice policy, $1,800, right? That's going to help them out with their deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses and released after 3 days. So that's just a little example. I always see that Aflac on those examples underdoes it because like on one of them, I think it was CCR, said it paid like $12,600. I had a customer that can't say it. Okay, I can tell you that Tammy with an aneurysm got paid over $21,000 on just that plan, plus the money from the hospital plan paid us additional $11,000, and so we got $31,000 between the two plans. So sometimes that's a bit low, but that's okay because I'd rather promise and over deliver, right? So hospital confinement benefit pays the $500, $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000. You choose the benefit amount at the time of application, payable once per calendar year per covered person. So if 2 people go in from the family, and they got the $2,000 benefit, that's going to be $2,000 each. So that'd be $4,000. That helps them out with their deductible. Hospital confinement benefit of $100 per day for up to 365 days. That's really good. And then hospital intensive care unit at $50 goes down to $50 per covered person for up to 30 days. Waiver premium, yes. Why is this beneficial? Because listen, guys, you can sit there. People live paycheck to paycheck. They put a modest amount or a minimal amount into their HSA. The employer might put money in, might not. But they're putting money into HSA. If they just started and they haven't built up that HSA yet, guys, that's why we put this benefit in here. Because what that does is that helps to kind of fund what they're not funding yet, what they haven't had a chance to fund. The other side of it is why would somebody with an HSA that's fully funded, the HSA is fully funded, so they've got the amount of money for their deductible, okay? However, they can use the HSA money for different things, okay? Prescriptions and things like that, appliances, stuff they need for their medical care. So the thing is if we can backfill and give them some extra money in their pocket, maybe they use that money to pay the deductible, keep the money in the HSA, and then use that stuff at Walgreens or wherever it's CVS, wherever they've got to go. So that's what, see guys, this really supports the HSA. Why is it lower? Because it's the mindset that they're already putting money tax-free into the HSA, and then when they use it, they don't get charged. As long as they're using it for HSA qualified, like drugs, appliances, out-of-pocket expenses, as long as they're using it for the qualified HSA requirements, then they're able to utilize that HSA much more efficiently than if they don't have it. You'll notice that it's very short, okay? That's it. That's the benefits. Very easy, very simple, and then it kind of describes things. Now, important thing to know, in the state of Arizona and in most states that in the United States, most states have a 10-month kind of pre-existing window on pregnancies. So it's important that we talk to the employee, and if they say, I'm getting this for my pregnancy, that you say, I would ask them, and I think it asks them in Everwell, can I ask you a personal question? Yes. Are you pregnant? Yes, I am. Okay, you got to tell them that this doesn't work for that. It might work for your next child if you get it now, but it's not going to work for this child because you have to have it 10 months prior to delivery. This is very important. And guys, so you don't sell somebody that's pregnant a hospital plan expecting them to get paid on that hospital visit to have their baby. It doesn't work like that, okay? So what I always tell my customers, I said, you get it during the planning phase, okay? Very important. So that's the policy. It breaks it down a little bit deeper in there, but there's nothing really weird or hokey. So we're going to go right over to the regular Aflac choice and go through that brochure. All right. So this is option 1. And so this piece is, so the policyholder feels a sharp pain in their right side Same kind of example. Doctor diagnoses appendicitis. Patient has a lab test. Now notice the injected lab test because it's covered under Aflac Choice Option 1, not under the HSA. All right. Diagnostic exam in the ER, undergoes surgery and released after 3 days. So hospital choice 1 is $1,600, $2,200 on choice 2, $2,010 on choice 3, choice 4 is $2,600, and that's with both riders. So going through this plan, you can select $5,000 to $2,000 like we talked about. Rehab facility, not in the HSA version, in this version, $100 per day, limited to 15 days per confinement. Hospital emergency room, $100 per treatment in the hospital emergency room, limited to 2 payments per calendar year per covered person. Hospital short stay. This is what the reason why Aflac put the short stay benefit in there, okay, is because people a lot of times will go to the emergency room, get put under observation, and then they're in there for a full 22 hours or 20 hours or 18 hours, but they don't get admitted. So that's why Aflac put this in there. There was like customers saying, man, I love the hospital plan, but I wish it would pay out for me if I go to the emergency room and I end up in observation. So that's why Aflac put that in there. So extended benefits rider, physician benefits rider, similar to the other, to the flyer, $25 for visits, 3 per calendar year per policy on individual, insured spouse, and family coverage, limited to 6. Remember, I recommend for pregnancy, you get at least insured and spouse, if not family coverage. Okay, so she gets the full 6. Laboratory tests and x-ray benefit, $35, limited to two payments per covered person per calendar year. Medical diagnosis and imaging benefit, that pays $150 for the covered exam, limited to 2 exams per covered person per calendar year. If you have family coverage or if you have insured and spouse, that's 2 per person. Now, here's the thing. What is a medical diagnostic and imaging? It's not x-ray. This is very important, okay? It's not endoscopy. That's invasive, okay? What this is MRI, CT scans, things like that. Digital imaging that does not go inside the body, all right? That's how you determine. The other ones, we'll talk about in a minute. Ambulance benefit comes in at $200 and $2,000 air for transportation, 2 trips per calendar year per covered person. Initial assistance benefit pays $100 per year, like we talked about. The surgery benefit, $50 to $1,000, depending on the severity of the surgery. Invasive diagnostic exams benefit. That just shows you anybody can do this business, okay, by tripping over my tongue. So it pays $100 for 1 covered exam per covered person. This is very important, per 24-hour period. The hospital plan that Tammy and I have, every time Tammy goes in for an endoscopy, and she goes in quite a bit because they got to continue to monitor, we get $100, okay? Because that's per 24-hour period. Now, well, I better not, she'd probably punch me if I told you what happened. But anyway, if they do, sometimes in a doctor's office, they'll want to do, if you're in a situation, they'll want to do an endoscopy down through the top, colonoscopy up through the bottom. Listen, it's not to be funny. That's just how, that's medical, okay? I'm not a doctor, so that's the only way I can explain it. Now, what they do is they're checking both routes. And so what happens is if they do it on the same day, you're going to get paid for one of those, okay? It's important you know that as the Aflac associate. Now, if they do them on 2 separate days, then that's fine. Then they'll pay the 100, and the next day they'll pay the other 100 for the next one. But that's a big benefit in there, guys. So colonoscopy, endoscopies, if they have to go invasive, is anytime they have to go inside the body with a camera and look. Sometimes they go up through the leg, through a vein or an artery, and they're checking something out, maybe a blood clot or something to that nature. That would be an invasive diagnostic exam. Hospital intensive care unit, look at that, $500. Make sure you put this rider on every policy, please. Not for the sale, for the customer, my God, they need the help. This is not about just building the sale. It's building an umbrella of protection around the customer. The more you get them covered, sometimes you have to go with, it's hard for me to say this, sometimes you have to go with a little bit lower level plan to get more coverage, okay? But don't just go for a lower level plan just to sell one policy. Get them into a couple policies so you broaden that umbrella out. And then hospital intensive care unit we covered, that's up to 30 days. Hospital confinement benefit, $100 per day times 365 days per situation. And then second surgical opinion benefit at $50 once per covered person per calendar year. Ask your Aflac agent, it's sad they got to put that on there, but ask your Aflac agent about the Aflac Plus rider, okay? So let's just, I'm just going to wing through this really quick. Make sure there's nothing. Continuation of coverage. Aflac will waive all monthly premiums due for the policy and riders, if any, for up to 2 months if you meet the following conditions. Your policy has been in force for at least 6 months. We've received premiums for at least 6 consecutive months, so Aflac's received payment on that policy for at least 6 months. Your premiums have been paid through payroll deduction, and you leave your employer for any reason, quit, get fired, whatever. Your employer notifies Aflac in writing within 30 days of your premium payment cease because of leaving your employment. So watch your statements. If people fall off your statement, contact them. Then what you need to do is assist the customer to have the previous employer notify Aflac in writing so that they can get this continuation of coverage benefit, okay? You or your employer notifies, or it says you or your employer. So we can help the employer or the employee notify Aflac in writing. You reestablish premium payments through your new employee or direct payment to Aflac. You will again be eligible to receive this benefit after you reestablish your premium payments through payroll deduction for a period of at least 6 months, and we receive premium payments for at least 6 consecutive months, okay? So very important stuff. I just want to make sure there's nothing. So let's go through medical, diagnostic, and imaging benefits. So I touched on it, I grazed over it. So this includes computerized tomography, CT scan, basically, CAT scan, MRI, EEG, sleep study. I'm just telling you, we never covered that before. The stress test, angiogram. Man, it's hard for me to do this. Arteriogram. These exams must be performed in a hospital, medical, diagnostic imaging center, physician's office, sleep center. Who's marketing to a sleep center? Bring this policy in and show it to them. Tell them, look, we're covering this stuff, or an urgent care center, or an ambulatory surgical center. So it can't be done in somebody's trunk, okay? Or the shed in the backyard. No, that's a Marcus joke. Just kidding. Marcus, I love you. All right, so that's something he would say. Hospital confinement benefit. Now listen, the big thing, Aflac will pay $100 per day for the period of hospital confinement when a covered person requires a hospital confinement for a covered sickness or injury and a room charge is incurred. This benefit is payable in addition to the hospital confinement benefit. The maximum benefit period for any period of a hospital confinement is 365 days, but no lifetime maximum. And what that means is if you went in there for 365 days, you got out, something different happened to you, let's say you got sick, and then next thing you know, you got injured, heaven forbid, then it would kick in again. That's why it says no lifetime maximum. Very important. All right, so let's see what else we've got here. So the rates for Arizona. So the rates for Arizona hospital choice premium rates. So individual, you can see it's age banded. So we've got 3 age bandeds. We cover from 18 to 75. So you've got, now it says monthly, quarterly, and then it breaks it down into what we usually use, which is for teachers, 8-month, 9-month, 10-month. Weekly is $7.80. Semi-monthly is $8.45 on the low age band. Weekly is $3.90. Okay, and that's for 500. Then you go up to 1,000. Okay, and it doesn't quite double, but it gets, you know, you doubled your confinement benefit, but the price doesn't double. So you have $618 on weekly on that one. Now notice this: 1,500, $873. Notice 2,000, $1,164. And then look at this: 3,000. Eric, I thought it was only to 2. Let's see what it says here. So go up to the top. So you have your choice. So how come that this says 2,000 and then you got rates for 3,000? Notice it says account underwriting approval required. So we have to get account underwriting approval required for this benefit, okay, to be this high. But look at, hold on a second. You need to know this. $4,000. What if they have an ultra high deductible, no HSA, a $5,000 deductible? Can we fill the $5,000 deductible? Possibly. You got to go through account underwriting, get with your DSC, and get the approval for $5,000. There's a gentleman that's doing this right now in the state. He's getting $5,000 benefits. But look, the price goes up weekly, $32.19. But man, you land in the hospital, you're getting $5,000. And that's for any covered sickness or any injury. Okay, so that, I mean, that's a lot of money. So if they, you know, if they have struggles in putting money away, which most people do. Now the age plan, you can see that very low price, $500 amount, $1,000 amount, $1,500, $2,000, $12.90 a week on the low age band, which I'm not. No, I'm still in there. $3,000. Look at this. And does this say H plan? Let's just H. Okay. So payroll standard premium rates, H. Needs underwriting. So guys, if there's specific things going on, we just need to know ahead of time, and don't do it the day before your enrollment. Guys, when you set this up, when you do a good discovery, you're going to focus in on getting that approval in when you do the discovery, and you need to have that summary of plan documents so you can submit that for approval. So make sure that you get that, and then you start working on it right away. What if it doesn't go through? What if the account postpones? Who cares? Get the approval, right? So take the time to do that. So then these are the extended benefit riders. So just so you can see that we have the prices on those. I'll send all these out to everybody so that they have this. So then I just wanted to show you those. Now here's the other thing. I'm going to take it off screen share. Stop share for a moment. Are there any questions? You can ask any question you want to. I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to grab the short-term disability policy really quick. Actually, you know what? Let's pull it up online so you can see it. So, okay, we got a chat. We got a couple of chats going. Can't hear you. Can't hear you too good. Please. Yes, I'm recording this. So no problem there. Any questions? All right, so let's move over to the hospital choice plan, or I'm sorry, the short-term disability. Because guys, in maternity, along with, and I'm not just talking about maternity, this is for anybody, but listen, I want to hone in on maternity because you guys need to know this, very important. So you go under web ordering, and you just type in form search, you hit form search, short-term Get the right one. So short-term disability payroll. Oh, that's the application, my bad. Oh, boy. All right, so pulling this up for you now, and then I'll go back to share screen so you can see the brochure. All right, guys, so Aflac short-term disability, I want to kick it on down to this. So number one, make sure that you have, if you're talking to somebody that's thinking about having their baby, you got to make sure it's 10 months prior to delivery. So I recommend people, when they're planning a year in advance, get the short-term disability going so there's no hiccup. And then if they go out, if they start have baby premature or something like that, and they got to 2 months early, well, listen, if they start at 12 months prior to the birth of that child anticipated, but then the child comes in 2 months early, well, guess what? If that happens, the likelihood of it covering that premature baby is much higher if the baby's born early, if they get the coverage in place early. Okay, so that's very important. Do not sign somebody up with the purpose of having the baby if they're already pregnant and using this disability product. Please make sure you're careful about that. So monthly benefit amount is $500 to $6,000. That depends on income. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 or 24 months. If there's a major complication and that person can't work after that, I would recommend you going a little bit longer than 3 months, okay? Even for the purpose of pregnancy. But what I do tell people is, listen, use this for your benefit. You're in the driver's seat today with your Aflac coverage. So make sure that you pick the right period of coverage. So listen, if you're concerned about accidents, accidents can put you out for a long period of time. So you might want to look at a 12-month policy, but if you can't afford to do that, at least get a 3-month or 6-month policy. If you're concerned with heart attacks, strokes, cancer, things that'll put you out for a long period of time, you may want to look at a 12, 18, or 24-month policy. That's right. This coverage can cover you for up to 2 years when you're sick or hurt and you can't work. But Aflac puts you in the driver's seat as the customer today. You get to choose your benefit amount. You also get to choose the length of time that covers you. So total disability benefit periods, 3, 6, 12, 18, or 24 months. Partial disability benefit period of 3 months. Elimination period. So this gets people very confused. So I'm going to cover this very in depth with you this morning. 0 is basically, there is 0 wait. So day 1 that the doctor writes you out of work, so you get hurt on the weekend, you're supposed to be at work on Monday. That's going to kick in. Now you'll get paid when you submit it. It's not eligible for one-day pay. Hospital or Aflac choice is, this is not. Why? Because we've got to get 3 documents. Very important. You get the employer statement, you get the physician statement, and you get the employee statement. It's 3 separate documents. They all have to go to corporate, and they all have to be processed. And that's why it's not one-day pay eligible. Direct deposit, I believe you can. So that makes it faster when they're receiving their money, okay? So 07 means first day that you're supposed to, you were scheduled to work, that you can't make it due to you being injured. The second number is the 7. So that means if you got sick, okay, you can't show up to work on Monday, that first week is not covered. But the second week, that following Monday, then it's going to kick in and start covering you for the sickness. 014, 77. That just means a week on both. 714, a week on injuries, 2 weeks on sickness. 1414, for 2 weeks on either. 030, why would somebody get a 030 plan? And people ask me this a lot. I'll tell you, it's very simple, and it's a good question, by the way. So if the person's very concerned about accidents, not concerned about sicknesses, this drops the price pretty dramatically. And so then that way, if they're kind of active, they're out there doing stuff, they think they're made of steel, like Marcus Everett is Superman. And so, you know, I'm just making a joke, but seriously, in all intents and purposes, some people don't feel like they're going to get sick, but they know they're active and they might get hurt. So that's a good plan for some people that want to lower the price, but have immediate coverage on injuries and wait on the sickness. Okay, you just have to explain it to them very, very detailed, because sometimes they forget what they like to remember what they want. And so what happens is, well, then when they get sick and they say, well, I got short-term disability. Well, they forgot that it's 0 on the accident weight, but 30 days on the sickness. So be very explanatory. And I would make sure that they circle this. This is a tip. Circle this, not you, them. Do not write on the brochure. As a licensed insurance professional, that makes it part of the policy. Okay? Do not, because you're the licensed insurance professional. Make sure they circle it. Okay? This is what you're selecting today. Just go ahead and circle it in your brochure. I always did that. Waiver of premium. Now, waiver of premium is premiums waived month to month for the policy on any applicable and any applicable riders for as long as you remain disabled. So that happens basically after 90 days. If you're after 90 days, you're eligible for this waiver of premium. It is not available on the 3-month plan. Why? Because it only lasts for 90 days. So it's not going to cover anything. But on a 6-month plan, it'll waive the second 3 months so that the employer is not paying for the policy at the same time that it's paying them. Boy, I wish health insurance did that. Aflac Value Rider, this is a big one. A lot of millennials, a lot of younger people feel like they pay into insurance and never get anything back. It's kind of like in case of, so nothing ever happens to them. So what we wanted to do is increase the policy persistence rate. We wanted people to stick with the plan for long term. So what we do is we pay $1,000 for every 5 years while the policy coverage is in force up to 5 times. So every 5 years, that means, was that 25 years? I mean, just doing basic math. So every 5-year increment, they're going to get $1,000 back if they didn't use it. Now, if you did use it and you only used it for a day, you're going to get the difference between the $1,000 and the amount Aflac paid you. Disability benefit for on-the-job rider. Never put that in a workman's comp problem child account, because short-term disability only covers accidents off the job, because workman's comp covers them on the job. And it covers sicknesses no matter when you get sick. But the thing is, when you put the on-the-job rider on there in a problem workman's comp issue, then they're double dipping. They're getting money from Aflac, money from workman's comp. It encourages the employee to take double advantage of getting hurt on the job. So what in that video, when we talk about workman's comp, you do off-the-job accident, not 24 hours. If they're having problems in workman's comp, you do off-the-job accident and then disability without the rider. Now, for firefighters, I put this on. When I'm taking care of firefighters, the chief don't care, because they get hurt in a fire, man. They can't help that, okay? Usually the chief doesn't care. You got to ask. Additional units of disability allows you to purchase additional units of disability coverage to add to your existing short-term disability policy, subject to income requirements. So let's see just some policy details. Working full-time. Now, hold on. So you can get any Aflac policy except for this one if you work less than 19 hours a week. Okay, according to the Aflac guidelines, it's short-term disabilities eligible for employees that work 19 hours or more. That is only on short-term disability. Very important. If somebody works 10 hours a week and they want to get an accident plan, they can. If somebody works 10 hours a week and wants to get a cancer policy, they can. They work 5 hours a week every single week, and they're paid by the employer. They're an employee of that business. You're signing that business up. They can get the coverage. But 19 hours or more on this, and I believe it's a question on Everwell. Not working full-time. If you do not have a full-time job at the time of your sickness or injury, we will insure you as follows with the coverage while it's in force. If you are unable to perform, so if you're not working, if you're unable to perform 3 or more activities of daily living within 90 days of your last treatment as a result of a covered sickness or off-the-job injury as certified by a physician, and you require direct personal assistance to perform such ADLs, we will pay you the daily disability benefit for each day you cannot perform such ADLs. This benefit is payable up to the total benefit period you selected and is subject to the elimination period shown on the policy, so on and so forth. So just remember that they can keep that plan and still use it even if they are not currently employed. It's really made for employees, to be honest with you. But there is a benefit in there. They can keep it, and it can go portable, subject to their new income that they have at the new job. All right. So let me just see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything that's important. Aflac Value Rider, you do have to select that. Aflac will not pay benefit disability that is caused or occurs by pregnancy or childbirth within the first 10 months of the effective date of coverage. Complications of pregnancy will be covered the same extent as a sickness. Okay, but guys, notice what it says. First 10 months of the effective date of coverage. Okay, so that's birth of a child, 10 months. Make sure you pay close attention to that. Using any drug, narcotic, hallucinogen, chemical substance unless administered by a physician. So if you're doped up, not going to cover you. If you're drinking and driving, not going to cover you. Participate in any of act, including an operation of a vehicle under the influence. There's the DUI. Participation in attempting to participate in illegal activity that's defined as a felony. It's not just committing a felony, the attemption of. Self-inflicted bodily injury is not covered. Having cosmetic surgery or other elective procedures that are not medically necessary. Having dental treatment except as a result of an injury, so if you fall. Being exposed to war, any active war, or declared or undeclared. Actively serving in the armed forces. You do not sign up active duty military, please. Donating an organ within the first 12 months of the effective date of coverage. Mental or emotional disorders, and then it goes through the variety of things. Pre-existing limitations, very important you understand this. Now, Aflac's 3- and 6-month policies are guaranteed issue. However, a pre-existing condition, an illness, disease, infection, or disorder condition or injury, which within the first 12-month period prior to the effective date of coverage, so before the effective date of coverage, medical advice, consultation, treatment was recommended or received for which symptoms existed that would ordinarily cause a prudent person to seek medical diagnosis, care, treatment. Disability caused by a pre-existing condition or re-injuries to a pre-existing condition, including deliveries for children conceived prior to the effective date of coverage, okay, will not be covered unless it begins more than 12 months after the date of coverage. So guaranteed issue or pre-existing conditions, as this defines it, means what I say to a customer is I say, listen, anything that's happened to you or you've been treated for in the last 12 months will be covered after 12 months. But listen, even guys, if they had a heart attack, you sign them up for a 3- or 6-month plan, they're undergoing treatment and they get in the last 12 months, they get a prescription change on the heart medicine that could void out them getting this, the benefit from their short-term disability. I just got to let you know about that. It's very important you know. Any change in prescription things like that. I got one guy, you know, I want to talk about what happened to him because you can't. But we, just for application purposes, he was taking a blood thinner and continuing to take it after the doctor told him he didn't need to take it anymore. So I did. Now, you got to get this approved, but I did get it sent into corporate because I said the doctor wrote out a letter saying that he doesn't need to take this medication. He just feels more comfortable taking it because he was afraid of blood clots, this person. That's all I can say. But you have to have that documentation.